Hi everyone, it's really nice to be able to speak to you today. I'm speaking to you from the church and I want to speak to you about the church. When we set off as a church in 2013 with a 2020 vision, who would have thought the year 2020 would turn out quite like this? I guess none of us could have anticipated as we headed into 2020 and as we've lived during 2020, how it would determine and dictate how we do mission and ministry as a church in such a way as it has. But it hasn't dictated and it hasn't determined what the vision for the future is of this church. God has been speaking to us as a leadership team, probably for a good 18 months, about changing and redirecting this church and where it's going. In a sense, we want to honour what has been before. We want to build on all the amazing stuff that's been going on. We want to say thank you to God for his provision and his resources and his people and his vision for what has been as we head on into 2021 and a new vision that is going to take place. I want to celebrate and say thank you to those people who have been involved in the past. I want to say thank you, and we need to celebrate the people's commitment to see, yes, this building come to fruition, but the ministry and the work of God within it too. We are really fortunate as a church to have such a venue as this. But if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that it isn't the be-all and end-all. There is a degree within us which we cannot get settled just by having a building. We cannot be constrained by the four walls we see around us as we come to worship each and every week. We know that as we've sought and had to live in isolation, we have been challenged, or we should have been challenged, about how we do faith, how we do worship, how we do church, how we do discipleship, and how we do mission during this pandemic. Now, I want to affirm in you today that the vision that has been talked about as a leadership team, that I'm presenting to you through the email this week and those that don't get email through the post, the opportunities over these next couple of months to connect with it in conversation and particularly in prayer, I want to affirm in you today that this vision has not been determined by the pandemic. This vision has been determined by the people of God talking, sharing, praying, and stepping out in faith. This vision has been determined by God himself. Right at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2020, as we shared in prayer, Angela Laverack had this image of this boat setting sail. And although it didn't really kind of give her the full image of where this boat was headed, what it was for, who was on it, who wasn't on it, all that kind of stuff, it was a reminder to us that we need to go with God. We need to go and to discover where he needs to take us. And that is what has been on our heart as a leadership team as we've sought to refine this vision. This vision from Ezekiel 37 that I preached on earlier this year of a river that flows out. And we want to be a church where mission flows out. Where mission gets deeper the further away we get from the church. And that's where we all come in this together. We are all part of God's mission. It isn't my mission as the core officer, the church leader. It isn't the leadership's mission. It isn't even the mission of the Salvation Army. It's the mission of us as Christians. Yes, we are part of this denomination. Yes, we are part of this church, and how wonderful it is, and God is going to use it. But God is going to use you. God is going to use you right where you are in the everyday. The real focus of this new vision in 2021 is about being able to do the small things in big ways. You're going to hear a lot more about that over the weeks and the months to come. I think it's really exciting, particularly in the context of where we are, but particularly in the context of where God is going to lead us. that we can all do small things in the grace of God. And because the grace of God is so big, it has an impact right where we are. Now, this isn't to say that as a church, we're not going to be involved in projects, in ministries, in missions, in stuff here in the building. That is going to grow, continue, and change as the vision allows and shows us. But for each of us, we need to take a responsibility. We need to speak into people's lives. We need to live out faith right where we are. And at the moment, that is the best way to do it. Why? Not only is it safe, it is also profound. Being a Christian in this culture, in this context, in this season, is something that I believe that God needs us to do. I don't think that God sent the pandemic so that we would do it, but in the midst of this, he is calling us to live out our faith in small ways so that we will see big change in people's lives. So however you want to do it, wherever you want to do it, mission is right at the heart of where you are. It begins with us. It begins with you. And so I encourage you to step out in faith, to step out and see the vision that God has for you and for our church. Can I please encourage you to take some time to read the vision document, to look and pray over those words, to see where you fit into that, to see where the church needs to step up to the challenge, to see where God is leading us in the future. This document is kind of a starting point, even though as a leadership team we've been talking about it for a while. It's a starting point for us as a church to engage together in the continual mission of God. And so I ask that you'll reflect on it, you'll pray about it, and you'll let us know what you feel, what you think, what you sense God's Holy Spirit prompting you to say about it. There is an opportunity, and there will be opportunities over the coming weeks and months, that hopefully that could be in person, and maybe on Zoom, maybe a questionnaire, email, text, or one-to-one conversation. There'll be different ways in which you can come and share your heart for this church and for the mission and the vision that is set before us. So please, can I just again encourage you to find that document. Print it out. If you want a printed copy and you haven't got a printer, let us know. We can do the practical stuff as well. But please do reflect on that. Pray about it and allow God to speak to you about it too. I want to see loads of small things done in big ways where transformation happens on a daily basis in your life and in the lives of those around you. May God bless you as you go and do the mission of God.